you are documenting, you're able to see patterns. You don't have to file it away in your mind. It's there and you'll say, oh, every Monday this happens. And then you'll see a pattern there. Or the deceit. The deceit comes full circle. Something that was said before makes no sense now, or they're saying something entirely different. And then you can expose the bad behavior.
Welcome to another episode of Negotiate Your Best Life. I'm so excited today. Oh my gosh, because I get to introduce you to somebody who is super special to me, and he's going to become so special to you too. And really one of your favorite people, just like he is for me. Michael Williams is actually part of my team now, and he became somebody that I came to know when he joined my high conflict certification training, and he is now a graduate of my high conflict certification training, but he's also a stellar professional. He's been in the luxury housing market. He's been an entrepreneur in the greater Los Angeles area for years and years and years. He's had a multi-million-dollar practice in real estate and entrepreneurship for many, many years. He is actually the son of a single mom who was an immigrant from Greece, and he is a single dad who has been raising his son by himself. Oh my gosh, he's so good with his little boy. I got to meet him. He's adorable, like seriously adorable. Your heart has to explode every time you see this little boy. And so he's going to be telling his story about how he has been dealing with a high conflict individual and his journey on how he ended up, really going from the depths of despair to finally feeling like he has broken free of that and is at peace with that. So thank you, Michael, for being willing to come and tell your story and hopefully inspiring and empowering some people along the way.
I'm thrilled to be here and thanks for having me. Yeah, I hope that my story can help some people.
Yeah, so let's go back to when you first started this journey. You got into a relationship with a particular individual. How did that start for you?
Started with an introduction from someone else, and this person was wonderful on the surface. I think I've said this before. I was the diamond of all diamond supply at the time. That relationship went on for about a year, and it resulted in a pregnancy. And when the pregnancy happened, about 2 days after, I'm
You
sorry.
say the diamond of all diamond supply.
Mhm.
Not all people know what that means. So
Okay.
let's define that for some people.
Okay. So for high conflict individuals, there's two types of supply: cold supply, diamond supply. Diamond supply is how they are perceived in public, what matters most to them. And cold supply is the low end supply where they're kind of putting the screws to people to get that supply they need. So the diamond supply is part of love bombing, I guess, right?
Their image.
Say again?
It's image.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
So what were you doing to give this individual diamond level supply?
Um, Putting them, I guess, on a pedestal, making them feel special. I felt special at the time, so you reciprocate. Um, but that went away after a while, as it always does when you're dealing with these individuals. And like I said, after a year of pretty good time, it turned into a pregnancy. And that's when the mask came off. So, like many people have been in this situation, when there's a turning point, there's a big turning point. And about 2 days after I was told that there was a pregnancy, I turned into a deadbeat dad, literally. and we're just at conception at this point, and I'm already a deadbeat dad. So that was kind of disheartening.
And you're and when you say you turned into a deadbeat dad, did you do something that changed? Did your personality change in some way?
Nothing at all. I just feel it was part of devaluation to put me into line, put me in check, to get me to agree to things that I didn't want to agree to, that were under pressure and duress. So I think that's how it came about. But I'm not easily pushed over. So, I have my boundaries in place and I know who I am. So when you stand up for yourself, that's when the conflict happens and you get the result. I mean, you get that response, which is kind of like the devaluation, kind of put you in place to try to get compliance.
So this individual was starting to demand things from you.
Correct. Yes.
Okay. And you were not going along with what this person wanted.
Not at all. I wasn't going to be pressured into doing anything. Plus, everything happened so fast. So I had to take things in stride. I have to evaluate. And that's just how I operate. You
Now,
know,
let me just make it clear because it could sound like the way you're saying this, um, that it makes it sort of sound like maybe you didn't want to be in the child's life. Is
absolutely.
that's
Absolutely.
not what you're saying?
No, no, no. If anything, I was amazed that a child was coming at this time in my life, and I needed time to process it. And that was it. I He's the best thing that's ever happened to me at this point, and so no, I didn't do anything other than I was being pressured, to move in, that type of thing.
Yeah, I see.
So things like that were happening way too fast, and things don't happen that fast, so it was something to be on red alert about.
Okay. But you did want to be a part of the child's life.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay. And so then what happened after that?
Um, the pregnancy ensued, and I was in the relationship, and uh, things were popping up as you go through the process of the devaluation. Hung in there as long as I could. My son was born. I was so happy, and I was in his life for about 5 months. We were still together, and it got to a point where, again, the devaluation, the accusations, became too much, and it appeared that it was something that I couldn't handle, nor did I want to participate in front of a child. Um, I did everything I could, to be that person in their life and in my son's life. And unfortunately, you can't do enough when you're dealing with these people. No matter how good you are, no matter how much of yourself you invest, it's never enough. And it becomes a bottomless pit. And you find yourself getting lost in that, and feeling like you can't win no matter what the situation is. And all I wanted to do was be a father to my son and to be in his life. And everything that was coming back to me was pushing me out or making me feel unworthy of that when I did nothing along the way to deserve that.
Hmm.
And
Right.
that's a bad feeling. That's a bad feeling.
And so how did it make you feel when she started calling you a deadbeat dad and trying to push you out? How were you feeling at that point?
I was surprised at first because you don't expect to hear that. First of all, it's unwarranted. The child's not here yet. I'm a deadbeat dad. But as things went on, you start to, for one, you second guess yourself. Even though I'm pretty solid and I know who I am, the tactics that they use make you second guess yourself, and you start thinking, why is this happening? I'm not doing anything wrong. So then in turn, you try to do more and you get the same result. And that's how a trauma bond is formed, I'm assuming. And I kind of sensed that as I was going along. And again, you have these like little spidey senses in you that tell you that something is not right. And I didn't want to fall into a trap of just going head first and being manipulated. So those feelings are just, again, when a child is on the line and all you want to do is be part of that child's life, it's a very awful feeling, as a dad to be excluded or kind of pushed out, and it's my only child, and he's a
Mm,
boy. So,
yeah. So, and then after he was born, and you were, it was becoming clear that you weren't going to be staying together. Was there any fear there that perhaps you weren't going to be able to be in his life as much as you wanted?
um, yes, absolutely. You think, first of all, when, I did the discard. So when I had had enough, basically, of the accusations, there was an accusation that I just couldn't tolerate. And so I had to remove myself from that situation.
Are you comfortable revealing what that was?
I was accused of verbal abuse of the child.
Oh,
And
officially.
yeah, and nothing like that has ever happened. And I figured to myself, and people in this situation probably can identify, is if something like that can be said, then you realize there's no boundaries. So that means it's going to go even further than that. So I decided to remove myself from that situation right then and there. And when that happened, I became public enemy number one, as
Mm.
you put. And I would say the second mask came off that time. And I was dealing with a person who I never knew. And I'm the enemy. I'm the worst thing ever. Um, and that's when I had fear that I may not be in my child's life. And because of the accusations. And you feel, as a man, you feel going into family court that, the law is kind of against you, I guess, because you always have heard, oh, children need to be with the mother. I guess it was called the tender years. It was,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, but that's no longer in play. And there's many studies out now from, saying that there should be equal time between mother and father. So I learned that early on, and I decided I was not gonna allow someone to not allow me to be in my son's life. And I was dedicated to that. And there was nothing that was going to stop me from being in my son's life, no matter what. And I had to endure a lot. And I'm in a much better place now. But, when you're dealing with high conflict individuals, they do their part to make your life miserable, to almost like to get you to throw in the towel. It's like a battle of attrition. And I wasn't going to get into that, no matter what the situation.
I like that. It's a battle of attrition. It's so true. And a lot of people, they just think they're never going to get there.
Yeah. And you do feel that way, and there's despair. And you ask yourself, why am I in this situation? This should be so simple. There's a child here, like the child should come first. Where, I tell this to my friends, baby mama drama or baby daddy drama is one thing, and it's funny as that sounds, but when you add that special sauce of a high conflict personality type on top, you're in an entirely different realm. And it tests you, and again, when all you want is to be in your child's life and to have a normal life with the peace that you had prior to this interaction, it's rough. And it calls for a lot of sleepless nights figuring, how did I get here? How do I get out of this? um
What did I do to deserve this?
that too. Yeah. And what I did to deserve it, I was a good person. We're targeted for a reason. We're good, like you say, we have value and we have light, and they're attracted to it, and they want to take it. So,
Do exactly.
mhm.
So, how did you eventually figure this out? What happened?
Well, early on in this journey, once I recognized what I was dealing with, high conflict personality type, I started studying. I'm that type of person. I'll feed myself as much information as possible just so that I know what I'm dealing with in any situation, business, personal, whatever the situation is. And I stumbled across your videos and I learned about you early on. And there's so much value in the information that you have online. It was invaluable, and it helped me so much. And I learned early on about the power of documentation and leverage. The SLAY method itself is just incredible, and the L, which stands for leverage, the power of documentation. I mean, that's a pillar in the method itself, and that's the one that I gravitated to right away. Because when you're dealing with a high conflict individual, there's, the drama and the trauma and the accusations and the harassment. There's so much going on that you have to document it. And that becomes a chore in and of itself. And so during that process, when I learned that early on, I figured it was something I had to do, but it became so overwhelming because the time when I had my son, I was being harassed. And then when I didn't have him, I was spending time documenting all the harassment and putting things in order. So it was affecting my time with my son and my bonding, and then affecting my personal time and my professional time. And again, it feels like you're under a rock, and it never stops coming. Like I said, it's a battle of attrition. It's trying to get you to throw in the towel. And I had to build a defense and start with boundaries.
Yeah. And to be clear, you got my SLAY program, which
Yes.
is SLAY stands for strategy, leverage, anticipate, and focus on you.
Mhm.
So you started building leverage
Mhm.
through the SLAY program, and you started,
Yes.
okay, strategy, first of all, is building that vision, knowing where you want to go, and you
Yes.
knew where you wanted to go. You knew what your clear vision was of the end goal.
Yes.
And so, okay, how do I get there? What are the steps? What are the action steps I need to take? Okay, now what leverage do I need? All right, now how do I build it? And so you actually came up with your own app, which I want to talk about.
Yes.
It's pretty genius. So let's talk about that.
Okay, so during well, first of all, the app is called Custody Keep, and it's a child-centric document organization tool to help individuals who are in a custody battle or any legal battle with a high conflict personality type. And it was born out of my personal journey in this documentation process. I was talking about how overwhelming it can be. And I had notes when I got home. I would email myself notes. I would say notes into my phone, anything and everything to capture the moment. And it became scattered. And on top of being bombarded with harassment and all this stuff going on, you still have all this stuff in the back of your mind. And unless you get it out and organize it, you feel discombobulated, and there's a lot of anxiety and stress that goes along with it. A lot of sleepless nights. You wake up in the middle of the night thinking, oh my God, I need to jot that down. And it becomes, again, overwhelming, like a second job, and all I wanted to do was be with my son. I'm sorry.
Well, yeah, and I was just going to mention in the program, I do teach you how to organize it, right?
Yes,
And I do give you some templates, and I give you a lot of different samples of leverage. So you
absolutely.
of
Mhm.
but it's still on you to go, okay, what's going to be, my leverage, and how do I need to,
Yes,
and what summaries are going to be good for me, right? So,
yes.
so that's where what you've come up with helps with that.
Yes, I basically took what I learned from the Slate program and how to organize it, but then centralize it. So it's all in one place and you can do it in real time. I found myself in many situations where something would happen and I needed to jot it down immediately, like contemporaneous notes, so that I wouldn't forget it. And that's how I came up with this. And having it all in one place makes it easier. It gives you peace of mind, mainly peace of mind, because you can rest assured it's all there. Once you get it written down and put in there, you can go on with your life. And that's the problem I had before was I'm organizing all this stuff. I'm jotting it down. I'm assembling it the way that you say, but I still felt like I had it. Everyone has their own method. So it could be for me, it was all over the place. Even though I was doing everything, I was still all over the place. So I'm a solutions guy. So I always try to figure out a way to work the most efficient way possible. There's only so many hours in the day, and many of those hours I wanted to dedicate to my son. I didn't want to spend all my time writing this stuff down. So I developed this tool, which is a series of databases, which allows you to organize entries chronologically by category and searchable by tags, and allowing you to attach evidence to each or an exhibit to each entry so that it's all there. So you can literally do it in minutes. You open it up, hit the date. It's mobile as well. You put in your entry, attach your document, go about your life. And that alone gave me so much more peace of mind and time, because the time that you lose when you're documenting and going through this, you don't get it back,
No,
you know?
exactly.
And again, that battle of attrition, they're just throwing these things on you and it consumes you. So I found a way to get it out of my head and off my back and document it where I can go on with my life and spend time with my son.
Yes, I would tell them your motto.
Oh, it's their word against your documentation.
Yeah, I love
And
that.
I came up with that early on, and that was my that was my guide through the whole process. It's like you know, when you're dealing with high conflict personality, they're gonna accuse you of anything and everything, but it's hearsay. And everything that I present is supported by facts or document or proof.
Yeah,
And that makes the difference in the world. And I think it's not just a tool, it's kind of a strategic advantage in your fight for justice in these cases, you
yeah.
know?
And you know what I always say is like every single time they do something, instead of being mad, what do I tell you to say? To say thank you.
Thank you for the gift.
Thank you for the
Yep.
gift. Just jot it down, right? Thank you. Oh, they were late again? Oh, okay. Thank you. Oh, they they verbally abused you? Oh, thank
Thank
you.
you. Yep. And one of the things that I like to share is, you know, when you and you talk about this as well, is when you are documenting, you're able to see patterns.
Hmm?
You're able to, because it's all there, and you don't have to file it away in your mind. It's there, and you'll say, "Oh, every Monday this happens," and then you'll see a pattern there. Or the deceit. The deceit comes full circle. Something that was said before makes no sense now, or they're saying something entirely different, and then you can expose the bad behavior.
Right?
Um,
Exactly. You know, I always have this sample that I use in one of my webinars that one of my clients had used in trial, which was that, you know, this, it was in a 4 month period. There were like 98 custody exchanges,
yeah.
and I asked for a change, like, I don't know, like 50 times of the 98 times or something. And then in under an hour, it was like 40 times or something. I mean, it's like ridiculous. But you
Yeah,
know, you don't even notice this stuff unless you're keeping track.
exactly. And you hit it right on the button, like being able to document that and when you're being notified, that says a lot when you're in front of a judge. I mean, hey, every time I got a notice, it was 10 minutes before I was supposed to be there. You're already on your way, you know, to exchange or whatever the case is. And that's disrespect and inconsiderate of people's time. And it's meant to extract coal supply, you know, just to put the screws to you.
Well, and so it's that, and on top of that, it's the other person is going, I am the best dad, or I'm the best mom, or I just want to be with my kids. They mean the most to me. Well, really? But look at this. You asked for a change in schedule like 50 times.
Yeah.
If putting your kid first, what does that say?
Yeah.
Right? So
Yep.
it's great for cross-examination. So,
Yeah.
oh, and you asked for a change in under an hour? What's so important to you that you had to change your schedule right at the last second?
You know,
Like,
and especially when you're always on time, you know, if you're doing your best, in my case, I'm trying to be the best father that I can be, right? And the best co-parent. And I don't have any, even though all these things I've been accused of, I don't have ill will. I just want to be able to be the best father, deliver my son on time, wish him well until I get to see him again, you know, but I get the exact opposite, you know, and it's very, very unfortunate. And, you know, my goal again is, you know, one another saying that I have for custody keep is, you know, protect your peace, protect your children. And again, it's kind of what I want to do is just know that I'm at peace when I drop him off, and that when he's with me, I can spend the time with him and not be distracted by these things that have no value other than to stir the pot.
right. And you know what? Those are the kinds of things that make you look like you're so great too, because you're like, oh, look how many times I said yes, no problem. Because every single time you ask the other person for a change in schedule, the answer is always going to be no. and I often tell my son, who works with us, the same thing, because he's always like, I'm not going to ask her because she's going to say no. I'm like, just ask her, get her to say no, because then we have the record of it.
Yeah. And it's sad that you have to do that. Again, when I'm always thinking child-centered first and or child focused, and you just want what's best for them. And sometimes you'll present something that makes the most sense for everyone, and there's just a no. Sometimes there's no response.
Yeah.
For what, and you can document those things. It's important. And
Well,
hopefully it'll
I'm
put.
coming into town, for example, like to go visit him, and I want to be able to see his son, and I said, can you just ask her if we can see the child extra, and he's like, I'm not going to ask her because she's going to say no. I'm like, please just ask her so you can get her to say no.
Yeah, it, it's unfortunate. But that's what we deal with. And through the slay method, it's been super helpful in, again, building boundaries, creating that invisible bubble to protect yourself and protect your peace, and creating the leverage to get the outcome that you want. And the strategy part too, again, I knew exactly what I wanted to be in my son's life. That was it. There was no ill will, nothing else. I just want to make sure, ensure that I'm in his life. And that was my guiding policy, basically. you know.
Yeah, and where are you now? Tell them where you are now.
Well, I through the process, of of what's been going on, I was awarded 100% legal custody due to the lack of cooperation. Um, and we still have 50-50, what is it, physical custody, which I have no problem with. But I just want her to be a good parent, a good co-parent, but through this, again, using the slave method, that came about in my favor. Um, just to be able to make the decisions on my son's behalf in his best interest. It has nothing to do with me. It's just trying to come to agreements on things that are normal for regular people. Hey, let's put him in this school. No, it's a headbutt. It's unfortunate. And I'm sure people listening can attest to that, and resonate with them, because it's something that we deal with. you know.
Right. But at the beginning of this, had you been dealing with a regular, reasonable person on the other side, I'm sure, knowing you as I do now, you would have been fine with, hey, let's discuss, let's agree upon, but it came to this only because of the situation.
Of course. And I don't even want problems. Most of us don't. We're empath. We just want to smooth. If the relationship doesn't work out, totally fine. There's still this little person who needs both of us, and they need us to cooperate and communicate and put them first. And that's what I've been doing. But when you're not getting it on the other side, you have to protect yourself and protect your child. So that
Yeah.
becomes paramount, and that was paramount. And again, through that process, but it's changed me as a person. I feel like I've grown. Going through your coaching program has changed me as a person. I feel like I can handle these situations way more easily. We still can be triggered at times because of who they are, but these are tools. These are life tools that are going to help me for the rest of my life, and help me be a better father.
Yeah. One of the other things that I say is never jade, right? Never
Yeah.
justify, argue, defend, or explain. We
Yeah.
didn't do that. We just, oh, there they are, acting like themselves.
Yeah. And that gets exhausting too, doing that. And I, after learning that from you, I stopped doing that. There's no need to justify myself. I know who I am. I know what I'm providing in my son's life, and I can stand behind it. And you can challenge me if you want. I have proof of everything. There's nothing, it's sad because there's a lot of fathers who are in my situation that just want to be in their children's life. They don't want the drama.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So what final words would you leave to somebody who's saying, oh my gosh, I just want to be where he is right now. He looks like he's so peaceful. He looks like he's so happy, like what would you say to somebody who wants to be where you are now?
Anyone who's in a situation where they're dealing with a high conflict individual, I would wholeheartedly recommend the Slate program. First, start there. You can go very far with your free resources, but until you go through the program itself and learn everything, um, you're not gonna get as far as you can or you should. So that would be the first thing. And actually, everything is in there. With creating the boundaries first, because you have to protect your mind and your peace first in order to create a strategy and be well. You have to do that first. So those I followed the steps, and one of the first things I did was try to create boundaries to protect myself. There's a lot of things going on that were just, imagine picking up your son and they won't close the door and you can't leave. Things like that. It's so silly, but that happens. So I had to create boundaries. Well, now you can't come near my car. It's ridiculous. But so I would do that first and then document. That's been key in my situation, and I would recommend, and I know it's a pillar of the Slade method.
The link for custody keep.
Say again?
What is the link for custody keep? It's Rebecca.
The link is rebeccazung.custodykeep.com. rebeccazung.custodykeep.com. And there's several videos on that website so you can kind of see the interface, how it works. Soon I'll be doing a weekly live where I'm teaching best practices to help people kind of use it in the best way possible for their situation, taking questions, that kind of thing. So I stand behind it 100%. It works like a charm. We've already getting feedback from people using it saying they love it and thank you. And I wish I had this years ago. I wish I had it years ago. But again, it was born out of necessity, and I hope to share with others and create and helping them get through their situation with far less drama and anxiety than I did. So
Yeah, and the link for the program, you can just go to joinslay.com if you want to check out that as well. So, well, thank you, Michael, and everybody, just remember they only win if you give in, right? And you can just decide today that today is the day that you take back your power. You have a light that is deep within you, and you're trying to dim your light. That is what they are trying to do. They're trying to grab and suck your energy from you because they don't feel like they have power inside themselves. They feel a deep black hole inside themselves. And so they're desperately trying to suck energy from you. And you are whole and you are complete and you are an authentic higher self soul who is meant to shine. So don't allow them to dim that beautiful light that God gave you. You are meant for more. You are meant to shine. And the reason why you're here is because you've been called by your higher power, whatever you call that. You were meant to be here. And something is whispering to you right now to pull toward that and say, you know what? Let me align myself with my higher self, my soul, my source self. So grab that, know that. Don't allow anybody to dim that light. Anyone, ever. Today's the day that you decide that this is your best life today. All right. So I'm going to end with that. And
thank you.
thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Michael. I adore you, as you know. And I thank all of you for joining us today.